One of the best talkers in the history of the industry and also one of the most volatile personalities behind the scenes has agreed to work for TNA. Jim Cornette was always on TNA's radar as a potential on-air talent since he is a great talker and gets on well with Jeff Jarrett as the two go back to the territory days in the 1980s. Until a year ago, Cornette was the head writer for OVW, WWE's top developmental territory.
I can't deal with this.
You just can't see Cornette's face.
This is mental anguish.
You can't handle the idea that Cornette's showing up.
I'm not ready for it. Cause like, I love Midnight Express. I think Cornette is an amazing talker. One of the best promos of all time. I will never discredit any of his accomplishments in the pro wrestling business. I still hate the guy with every fiber of my fucking being.
Has he like scorched earth so much so that you can't even tolerate him?
Well, let me tell you this, Garrett. Mm-hmm. If Vince Russo showed up on TNA Impact tomorrow, I would be more joyful.
Ooh.
Like, again, Cornette in the 80s, when he's doing his thing, one of the coolest, like, managers of that era. I think he's amazing. I will never discredit that shit. I think he's amazing in that role. The last 10 years of his fucking talking makes me want to fucking put a rail spike through my brain.
Mm.
Like, and his influence is so detrimental to discussing pro wrestling in any meaningful way that it's just become hazardous, and the idea of having to interact and talk about Jim Cornette on a weekly basis on this podcast is enough to drive me fucking insane.
He is largely pretty good. Well, as he's going to be an authority figure. He's just going to fill the Larry Zero, which might be the biggest
and he'll probably be good in the role. I'm saying the idea of talking about him is infuriating.
Poor Larry Z as well, as they're going to say. It's just because Larry Z's kind of been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll try to separate art from artist and all that jazz. But every time there's like a backstage, like, I'll take the Russo shit.
Mm.
Russo is annoying and dumb and doesn't know what he's talking about half the time. But at least he's bad in a way that it's fun to talk about. And this guy is just like cyanide to the brain.
And also, like, the number of Russo disciples is pretty small these days.
And you can kind of laugh at the Russo disciples, you know?
Whereas the Cornette people are loud, they're annoying, they're very easy to spot from a very large distance.
Yeah.
You're gonna sabotage our SEO for Cornette. This is gonna be the first video that all the Cornette fans are gonna click on YouTube, being like, Jim Cornette, I love that guy. I listen to his podcast.
Yeah, I know. Listen, guys, I'm sorry that you had to find out this way. I tried to warn you early on. I know that most of you watch his stuff because you're in our goddamn YouTube algorithm. I'm not gonna be pleasant about the guy, as is my God-given right as an American. All right, my free speech. I get to talk shit about whoever I want with no repercussion. All right? Mm-hmm. So you can't be mad at me, lest you be mad at yourselves.
Or get to inform you, Australia doesn't actually have free speech.
That being said, I'll put over his work if the work's good.
So he had been booking AEW.
Oh, fucking shit.
He'd want to.
Give him Collision, see what happens.
Honestly, it would probably be pretty bad, because Cornette has never really had a track record as a successful booker.
And also, like, listen, I started watching ROH in the Cornette era. I know how not amazing it can be.
So he was booking OVW, not AEW. He had remained a part of OVW and helping owner Danny Davis promote his local events even after he was removed as head writer, a role eventually filled by Paul Heyman. Despite the relaunch of ECW, which is expected to take Heyman away from his OVW TV writing duties once ECW begins a full-time schedule in the summer, Cornette is not considered a candidate to return to his post. For one, he considers himself still burned out after booking so many years dating back to his days running Smoky Mountain Wrestling and being a member of the WCW booking committee and the WWF writing team at times before that. Also, he and John Laurinaitis do not get along.
Maybe Cornette's based, actually. He didn't like the alleged rapist.
See, like, that's what Cornette made his name on. Particularly, like, he went off on Russo all the time.
Yeah, like, when he was, like, he, like, directed all of his performative vitriol towards people that are disliked, it was, like, fine. And people were like, yeah, get him, Jim. But then it's like, he just directed it at everyone.
Yeah, it all just kind of was directed at Rio, like the most likable wrestler on earth. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Cornette, though, didn't want to work for TNA until the OVW tape library was sold to WWE and he received whatever share he had coming. That library purchase was completed last week. Subscribers to the OVW tape service were notified last week that they would no longer be distributed because WWE owns the rights, and thus refunds were offered for all pre-sold
Do you think
tapes.
more people were watching the OVW tape service than they were buying shows on Fight?
Yes. I would actually say firmly yes.
Yeah, because what, it was like 150 in that documentary or whatever.
Because this is back in the day when, like, at least OVW had the WWE developmental territory thing going for it. So
Yeah.
it would have had some interesting names coming through as opposed to now.
Didn't like OVW became like a TNA developmental for a while?
In name, yes.
Like they sent some people there, I guess.
Yeah, and like when they did the gut check thing, when like Alex Silva was signed, he was sent to OVW, but nothing ever really happened with it. So I don't know.
There was a young Sam Shaw there for a while.
Yeah, and like the Blossom twins would have worked some OVW, but there was never actually any. No one ever came back, really. That was the problem. Everyone went there and no one came back.
They never produced a Bozilla, so you know.
Yeah, that's the real star. If OVW, modern OVW had produced a Bozilla, Alan Snow could rightfully call it like the third biggest wrestling company in America or whatever the fuck he said.
Bozilla versus Haley J.
That would probably be a good OVW feud, to be fair, or at least they'd be able to pretend it wasn't a documentary. So after selling the tapes, he had nothing to lose by working for WWE's competition. He had recently been working a few shows for Ring of Honor and acting as commissioner for the promotion. He will remain in that position, despite also having an on-air role with TNA in the upcoming months.
Again, I'll say something nice. I liked his like 2006 like CZW ROH like on-screen character stuff. Like part of the, I think like the ROH CZW Cage of Death. Dropped everything.
Right, buddy?
No, I think the ROH versus CZW Cage of Death is like one of the best matches ever, like a full 5, and part of that is like his role in it and the post match with him and Homicide. Like I love that match, and he is a major part of that match. So I don't hate him as a performer. I just think he's an intensely unlikable individual.
You don't want to see his face or hear his voice.
Exactly, that's the thing. Like if he was gone, I would wax poetically about a Jim Cornette.
Gone isn't dead?
I didn't say that.
In a statement released on Ring of Honor's website, where Cornette is the on-air authority figure for ROH, Cornette said, "I have verbally agreed to a limited number of dates with TNA. This will not interfere with my Ring of Honor commitments. I am committed to Ring of Honor dates throughout the year and beyond." There is some question about when Cornette can begin working for TNA. They do, of course, state this month that the new face of TNA management will show up at Slammiversary, which is where Cornette debuts as the new face of TNA management. Spoiler.
Aww. Why would you spoil that for me?
Since he is scheduled to have surgery soon and won't be able to travel for up to 8 weeks. Cornette isn't expected to be a candidate to be part of the booking committee. He's not good with compromise or humoring co-bookers. He finds to be on a different page or incompetent. Also, Cornette has an aversion to flying and isn't willing to relocate to Orlando, Florida, where TNA tapes television once or twice a month. He drives himself up and down for the time that they're working Orlando because he does not like planes. So, yeah, Cornette's coming in. I assume you are so excited.
I mean, I'm sure he'll be a great on-screen presence.
I'll miss Larry.
I will too. Everyone go back and watch Larry Z versus AJ.
The both of them.
Yeah.
There was 2 matches. He invented the TNA kick. What a wrestler.
Someone told me that he didn't actually, but I choose to ignore that.
Yeah, someone is like, oh, no, somebody did it earlier. It's like, but did they do it?
Ooh.
Is it a TNA
Apollo
kick?
did one in the third.
No, we can't let it be credited to Apollo. There is no world where we can allow the
I don't
TNA
think it actually
kick
was Apollo.
to be given to Apollo. It has to be given to Larry Z.
Larry deserves. Give him some. He had to deal with Dusty Rhodes being mean to him that whole time.
Yeah.
Calling him a fake legend, which is like so base. I love you, Dusty. To just insult your colleague all the time.